Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Today we're going to talk about overcrowding and understaffing, which seem to be endemic in the prison system of both the United Kingdom and the United States of America. You see, in the USA, in the state of Minnesota, there's been an emergency situation, lockdown at the prison there, because over 100 inmates refused to return to their cells. They stated that they were not being given sufficient time to recreation time out of their cells, and there was a great deal of indicated dissatisfaction. Now you can look this up; it's on there on the net at the moment. And the state's Department of Correction said that they had to put in a special team to negotiate a calm and peaceful return to good order and discipline, which they say they have now achieved without any great violence, which is a change for America. I mean, anybody who can remember back to the Attica riots where they opened fire and there were dozens killed. The marksmen shot through the prison guards, shot through them and killed the inmates and the staff as well, of course. Yeah, but the problem that they're saying is that the problem they've got at the facilities in America is this chronic understaffing. Now, understaffing is down to really many things. I mean, in America, they've got the unemployment level is something like 4%, which means that people can walk out of a job and get a job. You know, they're not going to be stuck, and they're not going to go and work in places that are dangerous, dirty, unpleasant, insanitary, and basically don't pay a great deal, like the prisons. And the problem is, of course, it's not just America, is it? It's the same over here. We're about to see over the next 12 to 18 months what I believe will be a breakdown in the control and discipline system within HM prisons. Now, I'm not promoting it. I don't believe it's good for either the inmates or the staff. But I do believe that this is an almost inevitable outcome of the understaffing, which they're saying in America it's chronic understaffing. Yeah. Now the facility where this disturbance occurred in Minnesota has got a population of over 1,200. And the facility there was built in 1914, so it's well over 100 years old. And people are not looking at imprisonment, certainly not in America, in the way of rehabilitation, which surely is what society requires. That our offenders, because we're part of this, it's our society. You know, that we are going to rehabilitate the people that we've put in prison and get them back into society. There are certain people that you can't, obviously, you know, mass murderers, armed robbers, they have to be kept away from the public for the safety of the public. But somebody who doesn't pay the TV licence, or fails to pay a fine for doing 32 miles an hour in a 30 mile an hour limit, you know, they're not a threat to society, are they? I mean, they may very well be construed to be a threat to the good order of society, but when you get things like 20 mile an hour speed limits all over Wales, 20 mile an hour speed limits, A roads at 20 miles an hour. I've had some pretty decent cars in my time. You ever tried driving a 3.5 litre Mercedes at 20 miles an hour? I tell you, it feels as if you could walk faster. Or you get in a Rolls Royce. I was recently in a Rolls Royce Anage. Red badge, anyway, it's something super sports Rolls Royce. and it was doing 130 miles, on the Isle of Man, by the way. It was doing 130 miles an hour, and it felt like we were doing 30. So you can imagine what that feels like doing 20. And of course, it's nothing to do with safety, because the cars these days, all right, on 30 miles an hour, ridiculous, but 30 miles an hour these days in a car like that, it will stop within like 10 yards. You don't have to drift on for 30 yards like it used to do. So, but people are getting imprisoned for nonsense like that. The problem is that the kind of staff that they're able to recruit now that will work for that kind of money in those kind of conditions are not people that are able to actually undertake rehabilitation programs with the inmates. I mean, there should be, in my opinion, I've previously on a program. Once you enter prison, you're put onto a course, and the minimum prison sentence should be 3 years. The minimum. And there should be different jails for different. So there's jails for 3 years, jails for 10 years, and jails for indefinite periods. And build the ones that where they got the dangerous prisoners right out of the way. Find an island off Scotland or wherever, and put them on there, and leave them there. You know, so they're not going to escape like an Alcatraz-style jail. And make them, you know, so that they can be replaced in sections. You know, so every 20 years you knock the thing down and restart again. Put in all the modern facilities. Not like Strangeways, which has been up since 1868, or Armley Jail, which has been there since 1848. That's the kind of recipe for what we've got today, which is a form of insurrection. And also in the prisons in the UK, and in America, of course. I mean, if you want to see what the prisons are like in America, there's things, America's Toughest Jails on Netflix, I think it is, and there's the books by Sean Atwood, Hard Time, which tells about his imprisonment in, I think he was in Arizona, which are absolutely disgraceful and an insult to humanity. I believe that Donald Trump's going to be testing that in a bit as well. Anyway, so that's my little rant for today about the American prisons. They're saying there is a chronic shortage of staff. You've got to say, I wonder why. I mean, no longer is the British Prison Service a career, it's just a job. They've undermined the pensions, so instead of getting a standard proper civil service pension, you don't get that. You get something and nothing. I know staff that have been medically retired from the prisons because of injuries and psychological damage they've sustained whilst on duty, and they are not receiving any kind of compensation for that, which is an absolute disgrace. Anyway, song dinger, but I'm not going to sing you a song. I'm going to read you a poem. Yeah. This is for Paula. This is by Robert Burns, because Paula's in Scotland, you know. In Glasgow, yeah? In Glasgow. See you, Jimmy. When you hear that in Glasgow, after 10 o'clock at night in a bar, the idea is to get out of there. See you, Jimmy. Right. This is a Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns. Sometime it is sung as a song, but I'll not sing it today because I know that Larry may be listening and he's sensitive to my dulcet tones, aren't you, Larry? So grab your goat, you're perfectly safe. This is a poem. Are you ready, Katie? All the rest of you, thank you very much. And by the way, you wonder where I've been? I had the weekend off. My wife insists, she says you're working too much. A Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns. Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I. And I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry. Till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee weel, my only love, and fare thee weel a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 mile. A Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns, or Rabbie Burns. Yeah, there we go. And that's Tales from the Jails for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you would be, maybe you can have a look, see if you can find a copy of this on Amazon. There it is. I was a handsome laddie then when I was only 25. Little did I know what awaited. Tales from the Jails.